Hey everybody, it is Groundhog Day in bulk still. Today is that midpoint. And in yesterday's video, I said 8 weeks, but it's really about 6 weeks until the spring equinox, till that time of balance. So I wanted to come back on, and again, my channel is about life force management. It's about Kundalini awakenings and managing that energy in you. So I like to relate that to what's going on in the collective, what's going on in the stars and the planets, and how you can sort of identify what's going on in your body and in the collective in this whole awakening. I mean, the Kundalini awakening of the planet is the ascension process. It is Mama Gaia going through her Kundalini awakening, her full realization again of that divine Shakti, that mother energy returning, and we are all experiencing that too. So we are all reintegrating the divine feminine, which is Mahashakti, the great mother, the great catalyst of energy on the planet. So it's exciting, and we can see it right now as the sun is in Aquarius, and the sun is always a life force catalyst. Okay, Leo rules the sun. Leo, the fifth house, is our life force, where we, if we look at our own chart, can best activate our life force energy. And wherever the sun is transiting is also sort of like pushing in that direction for the collective. So Aquarius is the collective. Aquarius is humanity. So the sun, um, the sun is sort of like activating all of us right now on a collective basis. And so this surprising element of this Uranian ruled sign really gives us this hot and cold. You might even feel hot and then cold, hot and then cold, as the channels of your spine, Ida and Pingala, are clearing out so that you can get that Brahmi chakra, the Sushumna, nice and clear with this Mahashakti, this Kundalini energy. But likewise, humanity is getting this. So this is where we get the hot and cold spells. And it's not climate change, it's the awakening of the planet. So sometimes it's going to be extra hot, just like you might be burning hot, just like the weather might be really hot somewhere, remarkably. And then you get really cold too. You might be really cold. There might be a cold spell on the planet. There is a coldness maybe in some of the people you know. This hot and cold, this on and off, you might think, this sort of like bipolar-y sort of energy is part of the cleansing process, is part of the awakening, is the purification, because those channels are solar lunar. They're hot and they're cold. And what we're trying to do is balance them. So that's masculine and feminine. If you look at the word hatha, like in hatha yoga, which is a very basic fundamental yoga practice based on the body. Hatha in Sanskrit, ha is sun and tha is moon. So it's really about balancing the sun and the moon, the hot and the cold, the positive and the negative polarities, the masculine, feminine. And so we have to do this. This is actually shadow work integration. This is why we go through the dark night of the soul. This is why we go back and look, and why today, Groundhog Day, and as I mentioned yesterday, like, did you look at the shadow? Like, did you peer at what the shadows are? Because you still have time before we really like take that energy and catalyze it forward and let the new cycle. Okay, we haven't gone into Pisces yet, so we really haven't like got the whole collective unconscious on board, but we are in the Aquarian energy. So we are like expanding into what is the collective doing. Well, there's hot and cold, there's yes and no, there's back and forth, there's surprising elements. This is how Kundalini works. It's very like, surprise, we're working through this stuff. Surprise, you thought it was going like this, but it's really going like this. Surprise, you thought you were hot, but now you're cold. You know, you thought it was cold, but now it's hot. So we're really getting an opportunity to value both, to sort of detach ourselves. And this is something the Leo King really covered in his morning astrology this morning. If you don't follow him on High Vibe, I love him, and he's super legit on the astrological stuff. I do astrology readings. Mine are not quite to the depth that his are. So if you're looking to go really, really deep, then definitely check that out. But he was talking today about the detachment energy and how that's so important as this surprising stuff, this hot and cold. And same with Kundalini, that is the third eye awakening. The detachment is, can I witness the events? Can I see from a point of view that's not connected to my identity, that's not like emotionally charged? And I spoke of this yesterday too. There is a lot that's going to try to play on your emotions and try to get you to feel bad or feel manipulated or feel, especially with Moon and Scorpio sort of stuff right now, get you to feel a certain way. But if you can kind of step back and just witness the process, as we must do in the awakening, so that we don't get tied into what's trying to purify. We see it, we recognize it. And it's easily recognized if you understand the chakra purifications, which, by the way, eventually when you get all through that, all of that explodes and you have just a fluid field of consciousness. So chakras is just a step in the direction of, it's not the end result. It's simply compartmentalization so that we can understand it for the more advanced thinker there. But when you understand the layers that the chakras are holding and showing for you, then when one of those issues is playing out, you can witness, oh, hey, this is what's going on. This is a second chakra issue in humanity. This is dark night of the soul. This is, from our genetic line, the genetic ancestry of humanity. Like, we're bringing that back to the table. I mean, here we are again, Pluto and Aquarius. It hasn't been here since the American Revolution or the French Revolution. And we see now that there is this rebellious nature, you could say, this part of us that wants to do something different, that could be doing that based off an emotional charge, rather than just seeing that this is the evolutionary step that we need. So it's a wisdom check-in with yourself, right? It's the same thing with the issues that come up and try to get you to guilt you into agreeing, which I'm noticing is happening in a lot of schools and universities. They're taking that angle of trying to guilt you into supporting a certain, I'm going to say, made-up demographic, because we are being pushed, again, like I said yesterday, into this transhumanism where we are trying to be separated from this dualistic nature, and part of that is right, and that's why it's tricky for the mind, because we are going toward unity. But unity is a combination of understanding our masculine and feminine as part of a whole, but also seeing the value of the parts. That in our system, there is just positive and negative. It's not a spectrum. And so we're not trying to erase the basic parts, where transhumanism is trying to like erase that and make you almost robotic, like almost remove your humanism. And even the term transhumanism makes it seem like it's beyond human, which could make you think it's better than human. But how about we go in the like God human, divine human sort of direction, where we can utilize the systems, we can utilize the technology, we can utilize different knowledge and stuff, but we maintain our purity, we maintain the witness, the part of us that can see what's going on, hold space for it, and not get like suckered into something we might regret later, let's say. So during this time, this purification, this hot and cold, know that that's part of a Kundalini awakening. when Kundalini is moving up your spine, you can have extreme heat and then extreme cool. You can have really like turned on, and then you can have extreme dullness. So you go through these polarities, and it's not bipolar, except for it is, because there's two poles. So we sort of push that term into like, this is bad, we don't want to be bipolar, but we all are. We all have these two poles that we're looking to bring together and integrate, and we can only do that here. We can only do that with the eye that is the witness that sees, that is beyond or behind the screen of the play, the Leela that's going on, the drama, the act of this world. And so cultivating that third eye awareness is our best tool. Our best tool. And if you need help with that, I have other videos on that can help with that, or you can, message me directly. But working with that energy is going to be like so important and so helpful, especially because Pluto is deep and big and can feel hellish sometimes. We have to like transverse that dark night of the soul. Pluto in Aquarius, which is that next 16 to 20 years spectrum, that we have in front of us, or time frame. Pluto again is like Hades, is hell, is death. Aquarius is humanity. So there is an element of the death of humanity, but again, in the Kundalini perspective, the death is the pave way to the birth. Pluto is also a rebirth, it's a resurrection. So what has to die? Well, what is dying? The old ways, the old perspective. In a Kundalini awakening, each chakra is purified to remove the dross, to alchemize, change the lower into the higher, to transmute, to purify, to clear out, clean. That's why we do practices like Nadi Shoden. Nadi are the channels. Shoden is purification. We want to purify the channels. We have little fragments of memories and miasms, which are sicknesses and wounds of our ancestors that are living in us. And sometimes they're speaking through us or expressing through us like thought forms, like actual things we think we want or we're doing. And right now that's happening through all of humanity. So humanity is bringing a lot of this through its collective chakras. So it's a lot. It can feel like a lot. And so taking I'm watching viewpoint. I'm observing, I'm journaling today. I'm going to just try to see what happens. I'm going to like revel in the surprise, like a story is unfolding. And I am taking notes. I'm the scribe. So hopefully that can help you to navigate this time. And don't forget to have gratitude. Imbolc is all about the gratitude that the light is returning, the awareness is returning, like we're getting clearer. We're preparing for the catalyzing of a new cycle completely when we get to Aries at the spring equinox. This is really going to move the energy. Remember the major Sabbats and lesser Sabbats, as they would say in like Wicca or paganism, even though it's just like a seasonal coding, if you will. The chakras of the planet happen at these solstices and equinoxes, and the lesser Sabbats, the places in between. Those are the chakra points of the earth energies. That's when things are aligned as such that the earth has access to more energy. So more energy is more consciousness, more awareness in our spirit, in our part of us that can witness. So today, be grateful for everything you've passed through. You really have passed through a lot. Pluto is that trip down the river Sphinx, that navigating the underworld thing. And you really have been through a lot in your time with humanity. So now we revisit what have you been through in your time with your friends and your family and your community and the collective. And what are we doing different now? What's going to be reborn? And this next 6 weeks is sort of piecing that together, I guess, like allowing the purification, but also like starting to get like clear images. Pisces coming up, in just a few more weeks, um, is going to like reveal what's in the deep unconscious. It's this very like dream like state, the yoga nidra, if you will, of the collective. And so we can also access deeper understandings during that time. So preparing right now for that, by again, it's Groundhog Day. So looking at the shadow stuff, like what stuff haven't I liked? What don't I like about what's going on, and how can I integrate it? How can I see the value in it? Because I can't go forward in wholeness if I'm still shunning parts of life. Humanity is all the parts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Womanhood is all the parts. Malehood is all the parts. You see a lot being written, especially in the spiritual community, about like the awakened masculine or the divine feminine or the, all of this. And it's beautiful. It's one side. And really, to get to that side, we have to look at the other side too, and we have to appreciate the other side. We have to appreciate the shadow of the masculine and feminine. We have to appreciate the crazy woman. Like, what is the value in a crazy woman? What is the value in the wounded masculine? What is the value in dysfunctional relationship? And this is a deep dive. And this is an opportunity right now that we can have if we want to sit down and do the work on that and write down like what is invoked in humanity when we walk this path of the wounded. What is invoked? I was in the Aerospace Museum today with my son for a homeschool field trip, and we were looking at all the war planes and the atomic bombs and stuff, and there was a big sign that said "Keep the peace." And I was like, isn't it ironic that keeping the peace includes bombs? Like, isn't that a dichotomy? But isn't that the divine dichotomy, right? So the divine human, or the conscious coupling, the divine humanity, the awakened humanity, the evolved humanity, isn't it learning how to see where all the parts fit? I mean, if we hadn't gone through the wounding, we couldn't be where we are. We couldn't be going where we're going because we wouldn't have learned what we don't want, right? We couldn't have figured out what doesn't work. And so in the purification process, these things are brought up, and yes, we're alchemizing them. What does that mean? We're transforming them mentally. This is like the key of Tantra, and why Tantra and yoga and Ayurveda go hand in hand as the trifecta of the spiritual sciences that have been known in India for millennia is, we have to understand the mind-body connection. We have to understand that we can only evolve spiritually and physically, yoga and Ayurveda, through the mind, Tantra. So we alchemize these things by seeing them different. I made a post yesterday on Facebook, like, we need to start seeing things different. You can go and look at it if you want on my Facebook page, but I wrote things like, anxiety is a frequency shift. Like, what if instead of saying, I get really anxious all the time, what if you started saying, I'm changing frequencies? It's just a mental shift. And so if a relationship has been dysfunctional, if that's the old language, how can you alchemize that dysfunction? You can talk about it differently. You can say, this relationship has been a catalyst for change. This has caused me to dig deep and find a greater me. This has caused me to bring my strength forward. This has shown me what is not in resonance so that I can know what is. And so actually it's vital that you went there. It's vital that humanity has gone where it has so that we can get to where we're going. And including all the funky stuff that we're going to go through, it's part of the change. That's why Uranus rules it in Aquarius, because Surprise humanity, expanding into the spiritual realm is crazier than you think. Like, you have to accommodate for all of these elements and find how they fit. So I don't want this video to get too long, but I do want to say that those who'll make it can adapt mentally, can find the way to look at it that makes it evolutionary. And that's the way you make it through your own awakening. Like, you stop calling yourself crazy and you start realizing you're changing. You have new hormones, you have new capacities coming online, you're accessing new parts of your brain that you never have. That's weird stuff. It's weird to start feeling your organs the first time you feel them, because those things are normally not anything we notice, and they're automatic, and the breathing's automatic. But when you start bringing those things under conscious control or conscious attention, it feels weird. And it can even translate in our old mind as pain, because pain was like hyper awareness of something. Like, we shouldn't be able to feel this, like we shouldn't be aware of it at all. But in the new reality, we're aware of it. And so, are you sure it's pain? Or is it just me feeling myself in a new way? So, fun, different stuff, quirky stuff. And you're traveling beautifully through this winter solstice to the Imbolc, to the equinox portal. And again, as I've said in the past, many videos again, humanity is aligning more with the seasonal transitions so we can really get on and integrate with this progression of the equinoxes, if you will, this move through the zodiac, and find how we move that way. We move from winter to spring to summer to fall in our own evolutionary process, in our own consciousness, the way we process. It's natural to go through like a die-off or a death cycle, or a hibernatory, pulling back, introverted time, and then starting to come back out again and bringing out new gifts, and then closing back up. And it's natural to do this. And so here we are. Look behind you. Can you see your shadow? Are there still things that you haven't looked at? And if so, if you do see your shadow, that's why there's more winter to be done. That means there's more hibernation to be done. There's more looking inward to be done. And we can still celebrate this and have gratitude that there's more light to be shed. So thank you for joining me. I love you so much, humanity. It is my honor to serve. If I can be of assistance to you in any way, please let me know. I also do offer private readings, natal chart interpretations, cardology reports for your year that give specific showing how your year will unfold. Super accurate and amazing. Or I can guide you through your awakening process through practices, yogic practices, meditative practices that can be helpful in understanding how this awakening works. I also invite you to check out some of the other videos that are on my channel if you are experiencing some of the symptoms of awakening, and I look forward to serving you. Namaste.